system, yeah, man. I tell you.
Oh boy.
The system is against his system. Hold on.
You believe that's serious story.
Welcome back, guys. As you're coming on, sorry, we got kicked out by the system. Not this system, like where Babylon system. So,
Yes, Sister Tracy, blesseds man.
but you know how it go. You know it go already. When you're on his agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who are saved, know what we mean when we say his agenda, God's agenda.
Yeah, man. Just reshare the broadcast, people. Reshare the broadcast.
Everything else go against that. Once you talk about family and uniting the family and stuff like that. But when a business about a system, they will preach it.
Yeah, man.
The family must live.
Family must live, man. Family must live. But listen, Spirit, now I'll drop it now because here what I'm now. Whatever needs to be released and whatever will help the foundational institution of this current society or even world, it has to be released. It has to be released and there has to be solution. Because this is one of the things that cause a lot of problems in marriages, a lot of problem, and we just want to touch on it and deal with it.
Oh, Russia says the audio is gone.
Audio's gone? Wow. Wow. 1, 2, 3.
Let us know when you're hearing us.
Audio is gone. Are you guys hearing us?
Frozen.
Let me see. Yeah, it's showing here. Okay. All right, good.
It's back on. Okay. Sorry guys, that was a little delay. But we're gonna just go straight into it. Hopefully those who were on will find us again.
Yeah, let's just confirm. Can everybody hear can everybody hear what's going on? Because we want before we get started, we want to ensure that persons are actually on, hearing, and the whole works. We're going to do a sound check. Are you hearing us, people? Are you hearing us? Are you hearing us? All right, we're going to start shortly. Just want to confirm that everybody is hearing, everybody is seeing. Just want to confirm quickly. Did everybody hear and see and all them things here?
All right, guys, let's just go right into it. So as we were saying, the topic is my money, your money, who should pay what? All right? So we want to deal with that tonight. So we want to start off, for those who are for those that are coming back again, sorry about that. We got kicked off by Babylon. Sorry about because we're not talking Babylon kind of language. Okay? So we're back now and we're here for business, all right?
Yeah, man.
So Babylon can't stay with the Pan Kingdom business.
Yeah.
Yes, because the generations must live.
Yeah, man.
And guess what? God must get the glory.
Yeah, so
we were saying, guys, basically, welcome back, Althea, Esther, Rochelle, everybody who is on, Katie, and thank you for joining again. So we were basically saying, guys, when we got married, there was definitely an issue of money.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're young, we get married, we're independent, we used to our own thing. Can I turn on the music a little bit there?
It's right, okay.
So we were used to spending our own money, our own way, doing our own thing, right? We not have a business about nobody. We not have to pay nothing like that. And then I came from a culture where my mother, my father was the breadwinner for most of the years because he chose to do it that way, right? That was his belief. He chose to do it that way. And then his value had a lot to do with that too. He valued his family being secured and he never wanted his children to go to daycare and stuff like that. So your value has a lot to do with how you think about money. Your background has a lot to do with how you think about money and stuff like that, right? So when we got married, I was working, he was working, but we were not on the same page as it related to money. Mm-hmm. We were doing pretty much our own thing, right? When I got married to my husband, he 100% believed that he should pay all his bills. That was his belief. I believed that we should work together. And my husband was very, very independent. He was used to paying his own bills. He was used to doing his thing. And his thing was, I was always doing it before you came, so why not just continue?
Well, and you know what? You said something very important there about the culture, that I grew up in a culture where it was preached, taught, it was instilled that the men should actually hold up the full responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. It's just the manly thing to do.
Because that's what you saw around you by older men.
It's just the macho thing to do. So for me, I just believed at the time that when I take on this woman to be my wife, she's just coming into my world. And so if I'm already paying my rent or if I'm already buying the food, it just pay a little extra more. You understand? Because if two pound of flour used to last for me alone, then our next month I have to go add the next £2, don't? So I mean, they're a little bit extra, but it's just a little extension of what you are already doing. That was just my belief, and I think too, we both came from a similar culture, but I think, as it relates to being vulnerable with money, me was not necessarily so vulnerable. I was still in my independent zone, and because I am paying the bills and stuff, I think we need to discuss what we do with my money. Mm-hmm. You understand? There wasn't a feeling or in my mind a need for that amount of accountability. Mm-hmm. Once I pay the bill, once I do what I'm supposed to do, then you're not supposed to know about anything. Mm-hmm. So through the journey, that's how we approach things, and over time we kind of realized that we kind of did waste money still, right? And after going through and God teaching us some things and teaching us some principles, which we are going to share with you, because we won't just give an example just from, what worked for me, right? And even though that has some weight, where we do what works for us, right? Because some persons may do it a certain way and it works for them. But, from going through the journey and learning a few things, we had to know, look at it now from a perspective that was kingdom based. What was the kingdom principle as it relates to us working with money? And we have to get it right, especially within marriage, because you see, whatever affects marriages affects everywhere in the world. And I think on Sunday I was sharing the about effective communication. And it says that 90% of why marriages fail is because there is a communication problem. Now, if the marriages are affected like that, then don't you think that even the other institutions that have been derived from marriages, it will have the same impact? So whatever impact the marriage, it affects everything. It affects the body of Christ, because the body of Christ is the reflection of marriage. Because remember, we are the bride of Christ. So at the end of the day, it is a marriage. So I wanted to establish that foundation before we get down into things.
So before we get down into that,
even Sister Melissa,
before we get down into that, as my husband just explained, that when he got married, his understanding of money was that he should take responsibility for everything, and as a result of that, his wife should not be in the know of anything, because he's responsible for the bills and everything. Then that means that we shouldn't have to discuss anything. So basically, what he was doing, he was still operating like a single person. I was just another person in the room. Right, and then I was used to an inclusive kind of environment where we would have been included in stuff like that, you know what I mean, and planning and stuff like that. So when I came with the whole thing of, okay, let's plan together and stuff like that, my husband would see it like annoying, because we are a plan both. I mean, I do everything anyway, so we wouldn't for plan. So you find that we would be working, but the money was not going into the right direction, because we had our own understanding of how things should have been presented. And because of that, we were all over the place financially. Another thing that I want to touch on, one of the things that I realized is that my husband also was struggling with insecurity. We were both struggling with insecurity as it related to money, and being vulnerable with each other as it relates to money. And when I say we were struggling to be vulnerable, my husband did not trust me with money. He did not trust me with the money, not because of really anything, but because of the fact that he was just married to this person, and we were not the type of person that dated for 50 years and had money in the bank together and sharing before.
Well, let's make it a little bit more clear in that regards, because what I would say about the part of me not being vulnerable to you then, the reality is that I saw some traits in you concerning money.
So he thought I was a spendthrift?
I never really, I thought you were a spendthrift based on some things that I saw. What I remember seeing you then was the fact that by the end of the month, you would be borrowing money from your sister or parents.
So we'll under there. May I get to it, man?
Okay.
I'm getting to the foundation.
Okay.
So my husband did not trust me with money for multiple reasons. It wasn't just for that.
Right.
But remember that we were not the type of persons who dated for 5 years, 10 years, right? Even though we were friends, but we got married pretty quickly. Right? So I was not the type of girl where him get for know a certain way, and he wasn't the kind of guy I get for know either.
Right.
You understand? We got married, we dated, we prayed about it, we got the green light to go ahead. God said it was okay with it, with our decision, and we went ahead and we just got married, because we never believe in the long something, right? So we never really get the time to really deal with certain things, or to even realize these insecurities that we were both dealing with. And when I was younger, I realized that my money used to done early. You understand? I didn't know how to handle money. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to handle money. I would just spend the money by the time work done, the week done. Me still I look for money for go work. My sister can testify. Me still I look for money for go work, and I didn't budget my money properly and stuff like that, right? And my husband had his weakness too as it related to money. You understand? But we were both in shambles as it related to that. But one of the main reasons I think that we struggled in that era was because we did not trust each other with our resources.
That's it.
Right? Because he was used to being independent. I was used to being by myself. We don't know if we can trust each other. And sometimes what happens is that when you see one person make a mistake as it relates to their decision in terms of distributing money, and you see that it has failed, then you get a little bit of drawback and you start saying, I don't really trust you for deal with certain things.
Exactly.
Because I believe that you're going to fail in this area if you spend money, right? So one of the decisions that I made when I got married is that I was going to stop being a spendthrift.
Right.
I deliberately made a decision
That's
that I
true.
was going to stop being a spendthrift. And I was now going to plan with my husband to see how best we can budget and how we can work together. My husband was not used to that work together part of it because he left him house very early. He never used to that. Remember, I am a female. So when I'm a female, you know, so the fathers, we call it in and work together with you. When you're a man, you leave your house early. You go university. You do all of these things. So you learn to be independent on your own from very early.
Well, let me speak for myself where that is concerned. As it relates to me leaving my house early, what I can say is that when it came on to money, I think it was more of a case where I was so independent that I trusted myself. But I think at the time, based on how I saw you spending money and stuff, that was kind of a place where I was like, kind of not trust that. And then that's one of the issue which normally happens where, after having that mistrust, when is the time do we now start to trust? Because sometimes persons may actually make the change, right? Sometimes we may actually make the change, and sometimes we may actually make the adjustments. But the question is how do we actually know when we can now finally trust? Because the truth is, we all have some habits. You understand? And I think at the time then, for me, I used to budget my money because I used to budget out everything for the month and all of that. But I think as it relates to making better decisions, as it relates to money, like to do it a lot wiser, I think I lacked that component, and I could have made better decisions with money at the time, right? So like one of the decisions was that I was 2.5. I was about 2 years into paying off a loan of 3 years, and I took out a loan to actually pay that off, when really and truly it was like a very short time until that loan would have paid off. And when I look back, I was like, that's dumb. Why did I do that? But in my mind, I was like, I'm going to pay it off. And you know what I mean? So that type of thing. So in the beginning, that was where it was. And we struggled. We really struggled as it relates to gel and to actually, make the money into one. Because still, it was Miss Independent and Mr. Independent. And so
Come on, we are coming to life.
and so one of the things is that we had to come to a place where we had to stop this foolishness and start to know work this thing out. And I think when we actually started to look at things in a way was when we actually came to this country, and the fact that we both were actually in a position where I was the only one working, and we decided that, listen, we have to put it together, because the truth is it was like very tight.
But Walande, but Patakos Kekel. Walande, guys. Because me feel like in this situation, Patakos Kekel.
What do I?
Right now, because
So why Kekel?
people,
What?
let me tell you something. I don't know, I love be real honest with myself.
Let me say, what the kettle, man?
Hold on.
Talk about things, man.
I feel like Patakos Kekel in this situation, because although
Man.
the young man did have little money in the bank, right? Where him did have to put in there because he never have no discipline. You understand me? I say if you keep it in my hand, right? So when me that struggle for keep it in my hand, him have to put it where I lock it off, to ensure say him not spend it out.
Well, hold on
and
there.
then hold on. And then before we get married, now me tell no which part me get frightened now, people. Cause remember say me love me spend money all hard, But here when me realize say Keckle no different from me now. Let me tell you when me realize Keckle no different from me. Yes, come on, me gotta talk. When me realize Keckle no different from me now. When me realize say Keckle go behind my back. Hold on, Keckle. When me realize say brother Keckle go behind my back.
We're both parts.
Go make a decision. Right, where him not consult me about it as it relates to money. Remember, so we're engaged and we're gonna marry in a few days, right? And I said to the young man at the time, don't go take out no loan. Make you just married, work together for pay off the little crumbs where you have left, and take out no loan. Young man go behind my back because him independent. And him go take out the loan pan top of a loan. So me think starting myself, I say, all right, Rockstar, good with money, but this worse man. This worse because I said no. So I think in that situation we both became insecure because sometimes when you're getting into marriage you want to know that somebody is at least better than you in terms of making certain decisions, right? And you realize that two on the same page as it relates to certain decision. While there were some things I had, but then both of you were in a situation where the two have the same mindset. You understand? And one worse than one in a one next area. But as I said, when we got married, there was decisions that were made that I'm going to do better. My husband was holding down everything, but he still had the concept of doing things on his own. And I think as a result of that, a lot of bad decisions were made as it relates to money. There's one thing between me and him. When it comes down to him putting things on paper, he's very brilliant. When it comes on to the calculation and budgeting, he can do well with that. When it comes down to the ideas and all of these things and strategies and stuff like that, that's me, right? And I think that we were not using our abilities at the time to work together at the time. Yeah. And as a result of that, there was always a clash. For example, my husband there was one instance where my husband did need something, and for tell you much him not even communicate with me that time. Him not tell me say him want something, but him get the money for do it and not tell me and him have to pay back the money when the budget ready for read out now. There was nothing. So things like those would have caused us now to have communication issues because he felt like he never needed to communicate with me.
But you lucky. There's not even a budget. So we are that about.
So we not really get the time to put together a budget. So passing that now, guys, coming to Canada now, and when things got hard.
Yeah, man.
Because me are telling us for the whole 2 years that we were married and was in Jamaica, we could work together and we were both working good enough money where we were able to do a lot more if we were sensible enough to manage our resources.
Like at one point, we were carrying home like what?
Good amount of money we were carrying
about
home. Right? So we were able to survive together, but we were not able to work together because of our mindset. So you see how you can delay yourself a lot of times in marriage when you're dealing with money, when you don't know, you may be working, you may have the resources to work with, Because what we found is that we had the resources to work with, but we were not able to manage it together because of our own mindset that stood up in the way of us progressing.
Yes.
You understand? So when we came to Canada now, we started to reflect on what we could have done when we were making all this money. Okay, so sometimes when our time take it, like when you used to eat and waste the food, and they realize now, say you're dead for hungry because you did waste food, and you start reflect on how much food you waste and the food we dashed last week, and so we start reflect on what we could have do with the money. Because we are saying when our time take we know, so all them could have do different.
Listen, man. when Canada come, when you come to Canada, let me try it out there. All who want come Canada. Listen, Canada is a place where
it will humble you.
It will humble you. I'll tell you that.
Canada will humble you, but it will make you learn and it will make you grow.
But humility is good stuff, Humility is good stuff.
Right. So guys, coming to Canada now, we realized that we had a small amount of resources.
And the next thing too, we had a small amount of resources, and also the fact that if we ever go beyond the little that we had, we would have suffered.
Worse.
we would really suffer. That is just the honest truth. And we had no choice. We were backed in the corner, and we had no choice.
So put it this way, Canada forced us
Force you, man.
to try making a budget.
Yes.
Because this place, you have to be stringent as it relates to budget. If you don't have budget, you cannot survive. And sometimes that is how God have to do it.
Yes.
He has to put you in position where you're forced to do things differently.
Yeah.
And when we started to reflect on how much we wasted, it was just a sin. When we started to reflect
and you
on
look back
how
in Jamaica,
we wasted our resources.
Yeah, man.
Just because we had our pride up and we were not able
A lot of pride.
to work with each other and we could not trust each other. Because of that, we had our pride so high and things were just wasted.
My God. High like
And
a
we
kite.
say this to say, if we don't, as couples, if we don't take our own self out of the equation and start thinking generational, then that can cause us to waste our resources trying to fight each other.
Yeah.
Trying to fight each other's mindsets. And so hard life had to force us into a position where we were forced now to work with each other whether or not we wanted to. Right? Because we had a child. We have never had children before. We needed to budget for our child. We need to budget for a place to live. We needed to budget for everything concerning our survival.
And it was just...
At the time, it was just my husband working.
It was just a little...
And we had a little to work with. So when we were in that situation, now we realized that, okay, we have no time to not trust each other. And one of the things I want to encourage us to do as couples is to hold each other accountable in a good way. Not in a way where you're going to cuss out each other or criticize each other, but both persons must want to be accounted for. You must want to be accounted for, because that's another thing too. You find that persons do not like the idea of being accountable. Sometimes as couples, we don't want to be accountable because we see one nice dress we want, and we don't want our husband till we don't buy it. We see one nice ear we want, and we don't want our husband till we see one nice shoes as men, and we don't want our husband, our wife till we say don't buy it. You understand what I'm saying? So as a result of that, we don't want to be accountable to each other. But one of the things that we realized on the journey is that money had nothing to do with my money nor your money. It had to do with our resources. And when we started to look at it from the perspective of the fact that whatever we are working now has been provided by God. That's number one.
So before we touch on there, what I'll see is that while we're actually we were struggling with, or should I say, at the time when we went through the hard times and it forced us to work together, what I found was that by the time now a little space opened up where it was a little bit more, you find that we want to go back to where we were. And you find that we were only submissive because we had no choice to. But it wasn't really a change from
our mindset.
From our mindset where we let us now really submit to it. Because truth be told, when we can really submit ourselves, is true submission is really experienced when you have power.
That's true.
That's true submission. You understand? So submission, it look like this. You are more powerful than this person, but you still decide to come under this person or come under this person's authority, right? So we when we came into a place where there was more, or there was more resources to play with and stuff, you find that, it manifested, or the manifestation was evident that still we had the issues of insecurities. And so it wasn't until we had to come to the place where we, as you were just saying, and recognize that when we look at the kingdom, we own nothing. Okay? The kingdom, the Bible says that the kingdom of God, and Jesus shared this parable of the prodigal son. And the Bible shares or illustrates that this father, this son went to the father and he asked for his inheritance. And we know that you cannot give an inheritance until you are dead. Right? So if my father is alive, right, which he is, whatever he dies. But we are in a kingdom where our heavenly Father will never die. So really and truly, there is not necessarily a situation where you're going to get an inheritance, but you're going to now partake of this inheritance. And so it's not a case where what we have will be ours, but what we partake of or what we gain access to belongs to him, because the God will never die. And so when we come to give that understanding that, listen, whatever God gives us individually at her workplace or wherever business, whatever it is, and whatever God gives me through whatever medium, right? Then when we come together and we bring in these resources to this family, it is God who has provided the resource for us to now manage. And that's where the foundation is, period. And the next thing to complement this concept that whatever we own doesn't belong to us is that in Acts chapter 2, right? It says in, I think about verse 33 or 34, it says the apostles testified powerfully to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and God's great blessing upon them all. Verse 34, it says very, very neatly, there were no needy people among them, because those who owned a land or house would sell them and bring the people to the apostles to give those in need. Actually, I should have read verse 32 instead. All the believers were united in heart and mind, and they felt that what they owned, yes, this is the verse, what they owned was not their own. So they shared everything they had. And so that is the foundation of the first church. The foundation of the first church is that everything was not, they have a feeling or a sense of feeling that nothing they had belongs to them. They didn't own it, but it was their duty to share the resources that God gave them. And so if that was the foundation of the church, then think about it. What about the foundation of the church? The foundation of the church is marriage, or we call it the family. And so if that concept was in the body of Christ, then 100% we can expect that that concept should be in the foundation. That whatsoever resource that God gives you, it is not your own. The spirit of ownership was not in the first church. You understand? And Acts 2, in Acts, we all know about the great the great revival, as we would call it, where persons were filled with the Holy Spirit. Imagine that atmosphere had no concept of or mindset that whatever I had belonged to me. Now, if that's the atmosphere of the first church or the early church, then that should be the same atmosphere within our homes. And so that's the foundation in which we stand on, and we pivot from that point, that what we own is not yours. So Sister Jessica, Brother Mark, whatever your name is not your money. God gave you the resources, and when you come together with your spouse, then it's now for both of you to manage the resources and to use it to benefit the kingdom and to ensure that the children, the generation, are better off.
And persons may be asking, how do I rebuild trust?
Yeah,
because there are persons too who they will just use money behind their spouse's back without communicating anything.
Right.
I've heard about stories where both there's joint accounts and persons just use from the account without communicating anything. And then you find out that there's a rift right there because persons are not communicating when they're spending.
Big up, Javed.
Right? So it's very important that you rebuild trust.
Yeah, that's true.
And we wanted also mention how we rebuild trust in our marriage, because that's something that used to happen in our marriage.
Yes.
Where my husband would just, because he's a man and he believed in what he believed as the head, he would just spend money and I would know that money was spent. So I would be lost, as in, where did the money go? Where did this go? What happened to that? Well, I'm confused. I don't understand. Blah, 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 blah. And it would start an argument, right? Because the trust now would be, would just be down. I would suddenly stop trusting him with money. So as soon as we decide that we are going to do something, then somebody decide to break the trust of the next person and do the opposite. That is something that I find happens in a lot of relationships. And because of that, you have to understand that we can't just expect persons to just trust us overnight. It is something that we have to actively work on. You understand? We have to be, and as I mentioned, being accountable. So when my husband was doing that, it was hard when we decided the next time that, okay, he's going to do it differently. I still, whenever money came in, I still was trying to keep a little for myself. Why? Because I felt like he was going to do the same thing again.
Yeah.
And it was still causing a problem in the union, right? So we had to decide strictly that, listen to me, we are going to be very accountable to each other. If you're even going to spend $1 from the account, we both communicate, because as a person, I can tell you, anything I'm going to spend from the account, I communicate that with my husband. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to let him know such and such and such. And that is really supposed to build trust with each other when you have a joint account. There are also persons that does not believe that they should have a joint account. Where, to me, I believe that you're setting up yourself a disaster in that regards. Because if you are generational, this is our belief. Yeah. If you are generational, and you're planning to build the generation, whatever you do as it relates to the generation should look like unity. It should not look like an individual thing. And this individual thing, my account, your account, it does not give much space for vulnerability. It does not give much space for accountability and trust.
Right.
And I'm not saying that you cannot have your own accounts. But I'm also saying that whatever resources that God blesses you with, it's very important that you bring it together. Bring it together so that everybody can see what is on the plate. One of the things that I heard somebody mention is that somebody was saying to me that there's a situation where one person's spouse she has her account, he has his account, they would take whatever she's paying for, and he should take whatever he's paying for, and then after that we don't know where the other money go. And then in my head I'm saying sometimes the person is saying that sometimes he has more but doesn't tell her, and vice versa. So he will say that I have $10 when I really have $15. So stuff like that will cause persons to be insecure as it relates to spending money. And these are some of the challenges that we came across. And one of the things that we learned, as my husband told you earlier, is the fact that we saw the resources as, number one, God's resources that he entrusted us with.
Yes.
We had to see it from that perspective in order to trust that God was going to direct us and keep our resources. Because when we start in fear and anxiety, it's because we think that whatever we belong is ours.
Spirit of ownership.
The spirit of ownership comes over us, and it allows us to not be able to distribute the money in wherever it should really go to build the generation. So we started to have conflict right there. So the first thing we realized, okay, the resource that my husband brings in, it was provided by God. The resource that I brought in, it was provided by God. And when we come together, we present our resources before God. And we say, God, this is what we have made together. This is what you have allowed us to make together. And so we do a budget sheet. And one of the things this is one of the things that we learned, that we realized really worked in our marriage. For those persons who are struggling to work together. What we did a budget sheet, and we budgeted even for our pocket money. Because a lot of people, the reason why, especially women love to feel a sense of security. And when you're in a stringent situation where you cannot provide and the money is so small, where everything goes to, the women know what I'm talking about, when our time leak and you realize your ear can't do, and you realize your nails can't do, and you've been going through all of these things for years, and everything just have to be going to bills. After a while, you just feel down. After a while, you feel like, oh my God, I'm not getting to do anything for myself. You know what I mean? But I started to see it from the perspective where this is what we can afford for the generation to survive. So I stopped looking at it from me. I stopped being selfish about me. Because the truth is that in a lady, sometimes we can't fix up ourselves too, but the men can't do the same. Sometimes they can't do it either. Because they have to be making sure that you are secured. And a lot of women don't see it from this perspective, but that's the reality. That if you're only able to work $1,000 per month and your bills cost $950 per month, where you gonna get all of the money for the ear and nails and all of these things? It's unrealistic, guys.
And I was just going there. No, so let me say this now. Sister Melissa said, she said something earlier. What she say again? She said, he's the man that be there for no consultation. Yes, I believed that, and I want to speak even to the men, for those who are actually listening or even listening in the background, that it doesn't make you less of a man to be accountability to the resources. To be accountable. To the resources that we bring to the table. And one of the things that we have to be also practical too, because let's look at it practical now. Watch me. If I should actually let's say I share my screen now. Let's say, for example, let me be very, very, very practical with everybody, because you see, I want people to realize how things are, like, on a serious level, right? And we have to actually understand that life is not as easy as we think at times. And let me actually see if I could actually share. That's good. Let me see if I could actually share something here for us here. Window. Aha. There we go. So I'm going to share something with us, because we want to be very practical.
Let's share
here.
an example of what a budget looks like.
I hope everybody's seeing
and the practicality of it.
So we're being very, 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 very practical. Just confirm if everybody's seen my screen, and we tell you exactly why we do certain, why our approach is this way, and we are being very practical. Can you see the screen clearly, people? Just confirm with me if you're seeing the screen clearly. Just put clearly. Just type in clearly, so that we are not here like some physics lecturer chanting away and you guys not seeing anything. Are you seeing the screen? Yes? No?
Can somebody confirm if you've seen the screen, please?
Because we can't see it from here. Seen but zoom. Okay.
Zoom it in.
Zoom it in. Alright, let me see if it's a bit. Yeah, man.
Alright, so guys, when we were struggling with our finances and budgeting, this is one of the examples that we can show you of a budget.
Alright, so I guess
when I used to ask my husband questions, where did this money go? Where did that money go? And men, we are encouraging you to do that. To sit with your wives and do a proper budget together. Put everything in a spreadsheet and see what it looks like, because sometimes it may seem like money is coming in and this and that and whatever, but when you really look at it, you realize that by the time you're finished distributing everything, you realize that the truth is that it would have been unfair if the man alone was covering all the rent and all the bills and everything.
All right. So watch, which is true. So watch me now. So let's be practical now. Let's say, for example, as the man, because we have to be practical now. We're doing this thing practical. So let me cut out. This is just an example of what it can look like. All right. Let's say, as the man now, say I'm in Canada now, and with the income, with the minimum wage, let's say I am working in the factory, getting my little minimum wage, and my take home is about 2,500. Right? All right, you know what, let me kill this. And let us say my wife is not working. Watch me now. Let's be practical now. So 2,500 is what is coming in my little house. Right? And then now, after now, I take out my 10% from my tithes, 250 here. Right? And then the average rent in Canada we're looking at is about 1,800. So let us say we find somewhere nice. Let's put it a little bit lower. Let's put it to, let's put it to about 1,750, right? Which is very cheap here in Canada, right? Let's put it to 1,750. Let's say internet is about $79, and let us say we pay in Canada. We pay what we call now hydro. Say hydro costs us about how much hydro now? About, let's say $75. Live in an apartment. Let's say cell phone bills. Pay for my cell phone, for my wife's cell phone. Let's say it costs you about I put it about 110 for the month. All right, we don't put no pocket money yet, All right, so we deal with rent, we deal with internet, we deal with hydro, right? What else? Because I'm living in an apartment for example here. Now let's say for groceries now, me reach groceries now, right? Then what is? Then no me single service. All right. Yes, Shani. Right? So watch me now. So we're going to know groceries now. All right? And watch me now, no? We not reach now yet, Let's come down here, so watch this. Look at this. Look here, so hold on. Let me take off the savings. You see this, people? Look at this.
-7.
Hold on, but let me look in the row here. So let's say for groceries for the month, which is not true, it's not going before 50, right? Because groceries for a family, let us say a family of 3, for example, you're looking at about almost $200 every week or every 2 weeks. So let us put it to about, say, boy, $600, right? And then let's say, boy, I eat it out, make a scrap eating out, yeah, man. Any eating out.
Like for cook food and bring
yeah, you mean that I only eating out. We're going to cook a yard.
You just say I'm only for bread.
Yeah, man. You have a carry yard and carry some bread. And we eat out. we eat out. You understand?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. You try to reach your church early, you just carry one bread and you eat out.
Carry your thermos.
Yeah, man. Yes, man. You eat out. Amen. So, right? So let's say bus fare. We do bus pass now, right? How much bus pass now?
But you have the car, so you have the bus pass.
So we have to work with that. So what? 130. And 130 for your bus pass of the month. So let's just say about what? 260 that. About that, yes. 260. So a long time. Picnic in the restaurant parking. Oh, you mean? Just go to KFC parking. Can't tell me seven like a KFC.
The reason why we're showing you this, guys, because sometimes as men or women, we are unrealistic.
We're unrealistic.
And so we have to be practical with you guys to make you see what it really looks like when you are working alone, much as together. This is a person that is together now with somebody. This is a couple we are talking about now.
Yeah, man.
With a certain budget, right?
So what you know?
We'll show you why you can't do your ear and your nails.
So what you know now? So here what? You know what? We just use like a glass buckle and just scrape it off. So we're not gonna look good there, man. We're not gonna look good. We're not gonna look good.
Actually, it's sometimes Uber money.
Hey, that's okay money, May I tell you. So make you look like
you late one man in your budget for Uber.
Bus, we call this now bus pass. So watch me now. So put in bus pass, rent, utilities, right? We can't even come in here. Right?
If a ball off for ear for head.
Right?
So we have to go like monk.
Right? So watch me now, no. Watch me now, no. So watch her now, no. So we come down here, so now. And we say, all right. And we say, what is it now? Let me see. I thought this have not much confusion. So after putting that now, we are living just by our needs. Kuya, mighty God.
I was still in a minus $624.
We're still at minus 624. We're not driving now. Hold on, let's change this up there quickly. We're still here because the screen is on. Talk still.
Yes, guys. So this is not when you're driving and you're paying car payments or anything like that. This is nothing like that. This is just your simple, basic needs.
Basic.
So one of the things that we have to learn to do is to be graceful with each other as it relates to finances. When you are building with somebody, guys, it's very difficult for you to be hard and fast, on things that you wanted to do before you were married. The truth is that you may not get to do everything that you used to do before you were married. When my husband met me, my nails were always done, my ear always nice, everything. Because I work my money, could I do it myself. But then when you come together and the lifestyles is a little bit different, we have to get bigger home now to stay, and inflation is up and different stuff is going on financially, and then children come in place. You have to buy diapers, you have to buy, formulas, and different things start happening right now. And you're working on this small budget. It's not fair to tell your husband that whatever money you work is yours. And men, it's not fair for you to not communicate whatever you work.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Let's be practical.
It's not fair because the both of us are in the same situation where we have to be fighting to survive. Yeah. You understand? So if this is what survival looks like, where are we going to get all of that money to become selfish now in trying to do things for our own needs? We realize that when you get married and you come together with your money, it's no longer about just your needs, but it's about the needs of those ahead of you.
Right.
Those who you are planning and building for. Once you have decided to take that journey of marriage, it no longer becomes about me. It no longer becomes about you. It is a united effort, right? To for one outcome, which is to better the generation after you. So because a lot of men and women are not generational, you find that they still come with the individual mindset that I am going to secure myself and you are going to secure yourself. And so the priorities of the generations are aborted.
Yes. And we really want to bring insight to us so that we don't just look at it from this worldly perspective and we just hitting things and we are just saying things without being practical.
And that's why I'm going to give them an example now.
Yes.
I remember when I was living. Hold on, dear. I need to show this before you say that.
Yeah, because I want to finish this off here.
Oh, you weren't done. Yeah, okay, sorry.
So in finish up this, so we can see this very quickly. So we want to be practical as much as possible. Is that if I should say include now my let's say my spouse salary, all right? So this is just a representation of what it can look like, all right? This is just a dummy one, right? So let's say we are now the family income now get fat up now, and we reach now $5,000, all right? That sounds good now. So watch now. So what? Yeah, man, we look good now. We have extra money, right? So now, what if two of us come into now, and we kind of leave it simple? We can say, all right, now that we're earning money now, enough money, we can now include the hair. So now, how much you come money here now? About
$200.
$200, and now if you my hair for the month, we need a $35. So we're going $235 now, right? So we have enough money now. We can comb here now and all these things. What else now? We
Savings.
might, yeah, man. We have to put the savings. So let us say from this, we save up. We could save up a five bills, no? So we save a $500 here. We still have $891 left. And we say, all right, let us see what we can do now. We can know through offering. We can we can throw some offering now. Right? We can say, all right, make we do. We put up let's say a 150 for offering. All right? Let's put that away for that. Let's say also, you know what? Like we eat out, man, and you know, eat out at least a 2 times for the month or something like that. Let's say to eat out, you put down a $200 for eating out, right? And let's say you want a little extra money. Say you want to buy 2 clothes. Let's say $100 per for example, right? And what you find that now, we have some money here, so now. So what happened now with this extra money? We put up in savings $500 and stuff. We do all what we need for do. We do with bus pass, eating out and all of that stuff, right? And let's say we decide that we're going to still walk with foot. This balance of money now, this $441 now, let us split it up between both of us. So when we split that in two now, we put that in pocket money now, and that's what, 220, 220, and 220. Right? So based on that now, we just have a little balance of $1 and we just say, you know what? I'm going to put that $1 into savings. Right? So at the end of the day, right?
At the end of the day, everybody gets something. It may not, don't look at it to say, why a $2,500 me work, so I'm supposed to carry a certain amount for myself. Guys, if we do it like that, there are things that it's going to be left short.
Yes.
Because sometimes your spouse may not be able to carry all of that weight.
No.
The spouse, your wife or your husband, whosoever is working the most money, because sometimes we say it that way too, that whosoever is making the most money should pay the most things. And sometimes if you do it that way, you tend to put burden on each other.
Yeah.
But if you put it together now, just as how we did here, right? We brought both of our resources together.
Yes.
We put everything together, and whatever was left, we split it in half. It not really matter who worked more.
Right.
Right? We split it in half, and one take certain amount, and I get $220 for my pocket money. That's nothing that my husband has to do with, or he has to do with me.
Right.
He can use it to do whatever he wants. I can use it to do whatever I want, and he gets his pocket money. I get my pocket money, so we can see if we can put that in our personal account if we want,
right,
or whatever. But not an account where you're gonna say you're stashing off or you're doing that, because it is not best for the family.
That's right.
When we stash off money like that, I know it's a woman thing. Yes, stash off your pocket money. I know it's a woman thing, but based on how the system set now, it doesn't allow young families to survive.
No.
In systems like these.
No.
That's the reality. So if we are not very stringent, that is the reason why the government becomes a lot of people baby father. You understand? And they love that. They love when them is their baby father because it gives them more control. And the enemy doesn't like the family to work together.
If you get said no, since you work, we have to send the picnic guard daycare.
You understand? Even daycare is involved in all of these. This is just a rough budget. For some persons, way more than this.
No, you know what? Because now both of us go and work. Watch me now. If both of us working, let us say we have one child, we have to send the child go to daycare. Let's say the daycare is $1,000. Watch me now. If daycare is $1,000, watch me now. We shot $1,000, so here what now? No pocket money. Right? Let's see where we are. We're still short of $560. So you have to know short something. Say here what? Why we can't put up yourself, you know? So I've got short. Why? Let me see. Why is it short? Eating up.
Still can't eat out.
No date night at all. No, they still
and
short.
We're still in a negative, guys.
Still sharp. Well, you know, say, boy, we can't play nothing. We've got to just keep it at the tight. So you're right now, you know. And here what? You know what? You have to go.
Cut the hairstyle.
You have to cut the hairstyle now. So here what? Me have to trim it now. Because me can't not nails. You have to go work out something different from the 2 bills there now. So here what? 135. You have to cut something short. So you have to cut short because to make it work, you have to cut short. So it's still short at $10. What else you can cut? Oh, but wait. We'll cut the savings now, you know. All right, here we put the savings to $400. All right. What we stay now? And put back because we want to look good. We still want to look good. If that's your priority, shot at $9. We cut down your savings now. Let's put it to $300 now. All right. We have $91 now. All right. You know what? I'm take off about $250. Right? We're 141. We split that 141 then now between us now. And we say, all right, here was. Since we get the same now, 140, that's what? 5, 70. 70 and 70. All right? We say, all right, we split this so we can put this at now, 251 now. Right? So now we cover the daycare for the child, and two of us now make it work.
So guys, this is what a budget of a normal young family would look like.
Or can look like. And
This is just a rough whatever. Yeah. And the credit card debt, then we have to live off a monthly, not even counting on this.
Lord jeez.
So that is the reason why we tell you that when we take when we take that position to say that, okay, we are going to bring the resources into one place. Mm-hmm. You cannot afford to not do that. If you're a young family,
yes,
starting out life and has intention for generational wealth,
yeah,
it is not easy to think about yourself. Right. And so we made a decision that we were going to do something that looks like this.
Yes. And
what we do, somebody was asking, Shanae was asking if we do this like every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. We do this on a monthly basis. Mm-hmm. We do this on a monthly basis. Every 2 weeks, we check with our budget to make sure that everything is on par. And if there's anything to cut, we cut whatever, right? And one of the things that we learned in money, one of the things that we do is that extras pay for extra. Never you cut into your budget.
Yeah.
Extra will pay for extra. So for example, if we make a budget like this and we realize this is what it is, and we say, okay, we want to go at the zoo, and zoo is gonna cost paying for money. If my husband get a gig or get some extra thing to do, that is what pay for it, but it doesn't cut in the budget. Or if I get something extra to do, I use that money to do it. It doesn't cut in the budget. So one of the things that we have to practice to do is to not cut into the budget so much that it affects things around us that we need to cover. You understand what I'm saying? So I remember when I was under the basement, when we were used to living we were living in the basement in the earlier parts when we came to Canada. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was only my husband working. And I remember there was limited resources financially. By the time my husband would finish paying the rent, we had little to work with, right? And one of the things that I had to do, we made a decision. I was a stay-home mom. One of the things, we wouldn't send our daughter to daycare. I would stay home.
Yeah.
And what we did, I cooked a meal every single day, ensured my husband got lunch to take to work, because we had to do that so that he would eat. He wouldn't have to spend out, because if he ever got spent outside, the budget get cut 100%. So we had to ensure that he was not eating outside and we would take food outside, right? We bought snacks and made sure that he went to work with even snacks and juice to ensure that he would not have to buy anything at all on the road. If we were stopping off at church and he was stopping at church and I was going to church, I would bring his dinner to church. So these are things that we have to do in order to keep our family steady. Mm-hmm. And this may not be something that you may have to do all the time, all of your life. Mm-hmm. But there are times in our lives, women and ladies and gentlemen, that we are going to come across hard times. And we have to make sure that whatever we're going to do does not benefit just us as individuals, but it benefits the family.
Yeah, that's
we took it from the perspective of whatever we do, it's not just going to benefit Alden, it's not going to benefit Roxanne, it's going to benefit the family.
Right.
So it was never a personal thing anymore. We had to plan the meals, plan what we're going to eat, plan what we're going to take, plan what we're going to do, because we had to make sure that we kept or promise to each other, and we were accountable. So that if money did spend, I knew where it would have come from.
Yeah.
If money was spent and whatever, my husband knew what happened at that time. There was time we would have go to Natty, we want $6 KFC, we could have did afford.
I said, babes, better we buy 1 pound of rice and Walmart.
Sometimes it was better we buy a pound of rice and something.
And we could buy that,
Because
yeah.
I couldn't get upset that my husband was not at that place yet for us to. It was both of us that were fighting for the generation. So we had to make a decision to do it differently. And that's when we came across this budget. That's when we decided to do a budget like this, and we decided to become vulnerable because we could both see realistically what this looked like. And we had to commit to it. And can I tell you, since we started to do a budget like this, we were able to accomplish way more together than if we were doing this individually.
And that is so true. And that's when we look back and we were like, back in Jamaica, we really wasted money. When we really look at it, the Lord had really given us resources, and we never really maximized managing the resources. And it all came down to that, because in the latter, it really came down to that conviction where God was saying, manage his resource. And that's just period. And to add to even the whole concept of even why we approach it this way is that, you see, if for a man to know balance that equation financially, because let's say a man say, you know what, I want to know, do it. I don't want the woman to help. Let's say I'm the egotistical man who still want to believe that I am supposed to do it and stuff. Nothing wrong, but watch this. If you decide to go and let us say you're going to do 2-3 jobs, right? How will that now affect you being present as a father?
How does your value? What does your value have to do?
How will you be able to live out your value? Because we at the core, a man wants to be the best dad ever. A man wants to be the best husband ever. But when we so much at the place where we are doing 2-3 jobs, trying to hold up the position, or to maintain our egotistical position, right, of being the man.
Then something gets
right.
neglected.
Then guess what? Some going get neglected. Yes, you may be the provider of material things, but on the other end, you may really lack in the area of being a husband. You may lack in the area of being a good father because you're absent. And so, yes, they may feel your love with the resources, but you cannot be there. You're not present to actually be a part. You miss the football games. You miss the graduation. You miss the important stuff, because at the end of the day, it's so much of just working to keep things afloat. Now, that is why now it makes sense to actually know when you're at this level, and I use it very, 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 very loosely. When you're at this, and when you're at a certain level, it works out better logically, right, to put the funds together as one. And even if you're at the place where you have it together, you can hold your own, you can buy the Benz and you deal with the thing. I personally believe that we should still be accountable also to those who we serve, right? Because at the end of the day, guess what? We want our spouse to feel a part, that
right.
As you grow, as you rise, they were a part of it, even if they could have said, baby, you missed out 1-0, right? Even if they could say, oh, but babes, where the 50 million where you get from so and so? Lord Jesus, thank you, baby. I didn't remember. Yeah, man, put it over that. All right. Even if it's to be a part of even putting ideas and stuff, it makes a difference when there is that type of union or synergy, right? Or that type of oneness in dealing with these things. It's very important.
And sticking to the plan.
Yes. And then the next one I want to say to us is that, listen, let's be real. Because you see, we these days, a lot of persons say that we want to see the traditional setting be restored. Yes, and guess what? The traditional setting was that father or the husband focused on the work, bringing in the bacons, and the woman focused on staying, taking care of the kids, nurturing the kids, teaching the kids, right? It was very simple. Everybody's role was actually straightforward, no problem. But here what happened now? In now this world where women and men are out there working, what you find that now the role has shifted. It's not only the man is the provider, really and truly. It's now both the woman and the man has now become a provider. And so in this type of setup, what you find is that the wife has left her traditional post, right? She has left her traditional post of nurturing the kids and teaching the kids, and she has now decided to now pay somebody else to do that while she now takes on a role of now providing.
Yeah.
So what you have now, two parties, husband and wife, are now providers, technically speaking. And so we cannot be now, oh, you're the man. So no, hold on. You're working now. You have become a provider. You have become a provider of resources. So now, how do we now work this thing? Because now we have to now create now something that will make sense, that there's some amount of balance, that we can all play our roles and carry out the responsibilities, and that we try make the best choices to benefit the family, the generation. So now, if we are both now out here providing for this household, right, then now it leaves us to now be in a position where we have to now try to balance in helping each other now. So now, instead of the wife having all the burden of the house duties and children, now we have to now work this thing together where, listen, if I come home first, listen, I cook. You understand? Normally how it works is that for me, when I leave work first, so sometimes I pick up my first daughter and go home and I chill for about an hour. Sometimes in that moment I cook or I set up the pot to a good extent that by the time I go to pick up my wife, by the time we come back we have dinner. Because by the time both of us come back, we're so tired. And we have two children and we have children to take care of still. So now we have to balance it now. Where now we try to now be able to serve the family as best as possible and also serve each other at this point. You understand? So we have to now be practical with this and now challenge our concepts and traditionally I believe that the man should do this and I believe that the woman should do this. Okay, no problem. No problem. Yes, there are certain roles that we are responsibilities that we have, but truth is, at times things shift based on the economic culture, especially of these days. The culture has changed. I remember I was somewhere and I heard this elderly white guy said to me that back in the days in Canada, men could actually drop out of high school, get a government job, right? And they would get enough money to buy a house, pay for the mortgage, take care of the family, you understand, and cover everything easy. But guess what happened? He said that when it came now later on, when now they were now having now the campaign for women to be now working and equality and all of that, what happened now is that the man pay now get short. And so now we have to split it up now and share it to know, equity and stuff. Because think about it now. How the system see is that, okay, since your husband is out here and you are out here, which we don't have to pay the husband so much because now it went split between the both of you. You understand? And that's just how it works. So we have to know, approach things from a logical perspective and look at it at the place where, you know what? Let's push it to push the agenda of making it work for the generation. And also let's work towards now shifting things so we can now come into now the traditional setting. How can I now come out of this setting to now enter the traditional setting? Let me say this: business. That's the only way. The only way to shift from working from or to be compatible to how the system is set up is through business. It is through business that you'll work a lot so that you can be able to do all of these things, really. You understand? And it is through this avenue we can now regain that position or regain the place where we worked well in.
Big up Mr. Nika Brown.
Yeah, man. Big up my brother. It is through this that we now regain that, where we can now set back, put us in a traditional role where the man can hold ground, or together even in business, we can take care of the family and become independent of the system in many ways.
But I want to say that before we could even get to the budget, one of the things we had to sit and do is to find out, speak to each other and find out what are your values.
Yes, that's important.
Because that sometimes persons value different things. You can be in a marriage and have two different values.
Night, Kadian, bless you.
You understand? You can be in a marriage and have two different values. So to make sure that we were able to work together with one mind, one heart, one spirit,
yes,
we had to sit down and write down all our values.
Oh Lord.
Right? We had to sit, we're so gone, guys. We had to sit down and write down all our values. And after we wrote down our values, we realized that, okay, we want to be able to spend time with our children. We want to be able to spend time with each other.
Yeah.
We don't want to be working 5 and 2 jobs, so we want to be able to live within our means. Okay? We don't want to be living over the top. We don't want to be living an extravagant life that we cannot afford. So we stayed within our means. That's one of the things. Sometimes we want to live above our needs to prove a point to people.
Yeah, man, you want
and that's one of the things that we do. Sometimes you have people trying to compete with people, trying to live a lifestyle that you cannot afford. And one of the things about us that we decided to, we never care about people. We had to come, even though we came from Jamaica where it did hype, and you know, so you have to look a certain way if it look like life are going for you. Because so we stay, we're very proud as a people.
Yeah, man.
So you have to look the part and play the part like things are going for you, all when it not going for you.
Put on jacket.
We decided that, look here, if I could not afford these shoes, I'm going to wear what I have.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be confident in who I am, and I'm not going to allow a piece of shoes to define me.
No, sir.
And I'm going to wear this dress that I have until I can afford something better. And he has to wear what he has until he can afford something better. Because there was a greater good. Our values were ahead of us. And we had to make sure that we were living out our daily values. What is your value? Because your value will also determine how you spend your money. How you deal with money as it relates to each other. How do you work together? So our value, we want to spend time with the children. We don't want, we have to hustle and go all over the place to work 3 jobs and the kids can't see it. Because I see people living like that to afford things that they cannot even afford. You get what? To buy things that you cannot even afford. You cannot even enjoy anything because you have to be working so hard to maintain this so-called blessing that is really a curse.
Blessing, really. Really?
This so-called car where you're going to take out, where $40,000 you cannot afford.
You work 16 hours per day.
You understand? And for just to prove a point to people, you're going to do it. We put ourselves in debt consistently because we're trying to prove a point to people. Yeah. And that is one of the things that we have to do as a couple. As couples, we have to deliver ourselves from people. And we have to understand that your pace and my neighbor's pace is not the same pace.
Oh, no.
As men, we have to, as so bad mind come cross. Because we are looking at our neighbor and I say, Lord, we should have did have this out. No. If a basement, let me tell you an example for me and my husband. We were living into a house before we bought our house. We were renting a house. And when it was time to move out from that place, we needed somewhere to go because this landlord was still in his house and wanted us to move. We could not find anywhere to go. In the last minute, we found somewhere that was giving us a basement to live. Remember, I come from a 3-bedroom house when we used a certain space, right? And I had 2 children, right? So I needed the space, and I was running a daycare. I needed the space, right? But we had to choose now whether we would rent a house and go into that strain, or we would go into a basement where it would give us space with our family. No, we had to choose that. Either we are going to sacrifice our comfort of a space to deal with the family, or we were going to sacrifice the family to be working overtime in order to meet the needs of how we're living. And we made a decision to live in a 1-bedroom basement. So that, and this was a situation now where I was now working and we were able to afford more. Look at it. We were able to afford more. We could have more than afford to pay for a rental for a house. But we still chose to go into a basement, a 1-bedroom basement. Why? We wanted space to spend with our family. We wanted to know that we could pay our rent within the first 2 weeks before the month ended.
Yeah.
We wanted to know that if our children needed to go somewhere, we could take them.
Oh, yeah.
We wanted to know that we could save and invest. We wanted to know that we would not have moved from one rental house to another rental house the next time we move. What is your value? Because we told ourselves wherever we move the next time, it is not going to be in a rental. We are going to plan and prepare and pray to God that He will create a way for us to move into our own home. And we work towards that. So for us, our value was living in a 1-bedroom basement. Now, our friends would have thought, our people looking in would have thought that, oh, this is a degrade, this is a downgrade from where them living. Oh, them get downgrade, them gone in a 1-bedroom basement now. But they don't know that we had a greater plan. Not because you get more money, you choose to live above your means. The more money you get is when you live as low as possible. Not living above your means. Our value was investment. Our value was building generational wealth. And we realized we cannot build that living a certain type of lifestyle. So we chose that. And from that little 1-bedroom basement, God would have helped us to move into our own home. Within 7 months of living into that basement and 7 months of me getting my job, we were able to go into our own home. Yeah. Why? Yep. Because we had a goal and we decided that we would downsize and live small in order to go to where we wanted to go. And we were able, guess what? We were living and we either touch the roof and we either look up at night time and we can't hardly go in a room because the roof is so low. But at the end of the day, and with children, them in the living room asleep, pan a bed. But at the end of the day, we were able to do what we needed to do. Yeah. We never have this overtop debt I deal with for go to the bank. We never have so much debt for deal with for say we need something and we can't get it because we take on all of this unnecessary debt. This is how we mess up ourselves a lot of times because we are trying to prove something to the next person. Yeah. So as low as you can live to accomplish as high as you can go, that is what you should try to aim towards. Yeah. Never you try to prove a point to anybody or explain yourself to anybody as to why I'm doing this. Men don't feel ashamed. You know the greater good. You know what you're trying to accomplish. Ladies, swallow your pride. We know what we are working towards. A lot of times we were streaming from that little 1-bedroom.
Oh, yes.
A lot of people didn't know we were streaming from that 1-bedroom. But yet still, you will see people come out and say they have accomplished this. Don't feel no way because you don't know how low them have to go forget it. True. And sacrifices that you would not have been willing to make They have to make it. Some people, them don't even have to live in a 3-bedroom apartment. They don't have to live into a house and them choose to go live into the house. Why?
Yeah, man.
You can live in a 1-bedroom. It's just you and your husband.
Yeah, man.
And your one child.
Yeah, show off in the people rent house. Nah, man.
Guys, no. Do things in a way where you will not starve yourself from the better things of life, trying to survive and trying to prove a point to people. So when we came together and we were working way more, living in a 1-bedroom, affordable basement, we were able to go out for the entire summer. We were able to enjoy each other's company.
Not just that.
We were able to save.
We're able to save. We were able to even randomly go out. We were able to just randomly jump to, hey, you want to go Niagara Falls?
Our bills were paid within our rent was paid within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In Canada, that's not normal.
No.
But I'm telling you guys, the things that you do sometimes to get to where you want to. Sometimes you have to start small. And don't stretch your finances so much where it strains you.
Yeah.
And you cannot really accomplish what you need to accomplish. Get together with your spouse. Put that budget together. Sit and discuss that budget. There are times, guys, when I had to cut my hair 1 month. When I had to cut my hairstyle. And I had to decide, so, all right, then I just have to buy 1 wig which can last me for a very long time. Guys, for a whole 7 months, I was wearing the same wig. Because there was more to accomplish than just a hairstyle. What are we willing to sacrifice?
And also, it forced us to consider even getting additional skills Yeah, because if your gear going cost so much for doing this country here, because here not cheap to do here, you know. Might as well you get the skill of doing your own here and all these things, you understand? And sometimes you just have to DIY it out and for things to be cheaper. You understand?
And then sometimes you just have to think smarter because not everybody have the time or can even do them own hair.
Yeah.
But as I said, for me, that really is not the ear type of person. I bought a wig that was able to do me for the entire 1 year. Women are afraid do not ear. So we could accomplish what we needed to accomplish. You understand? So we're not saying it can't look good and stuff like that. But there are things that you can improvise.
Right.
Instead of going to do something every month, you can cut out something and make it work.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, guys, as of tonight, as we go, sit down. We may put an example of the budget there so you can see. If you don't know how to bill it with your spouse, start billing to the spouse. Start with the my money and your money. It's not your money, it's not my money.
Yeah.
It is our resources that God has blessed us with. And as a result of that, we take the resources together and we put them together.
Yes.
So that the family can benefit from that.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody has any question, you can go ahead and ask the questions before we leave. It's after 12 now. And I'm surprised that so many of you are still on after 12. Guys,
any questions?
Any questions?
My money, your money, who should pay what? It's not in my. We're done with the my. It's what the resources that God gave us. You understand? That's really it. And everybody knows independent, and nobody talks about interdependent. What about interdependent? Right? Interdependent. Some persons say, well, you know what? 50-50. No. 100-100. We say 100-100. No 50-50 here.
When the resources go up, you both benefit. Because guess what? The spending money I got more.
Watch this, even better. The government, all right, perfect example. When the government here is giving something called child tax benefits, right? Which is just a small contribution towards the children. The government during tax time takes into account the household income. Okay? That's why it takes into consideration the household income, not your income and my income, right? No. Household, everybody income put together, and based on what everybody is carrying or bringing to the table financially, then that will determine how much tax benefit you are going to get. So usually how it works, if you get enough money where it reaches a certain amount of money, the government will say, okay, based on the household income,
You don't need it.
you don't need it. Y'all are working enough money. You understand? So that's how even the government works. The government looks at it as household income.
So when you are looking at it as my income, your income, that's not even how the government looks at
No.
it. They calculate one thing,
One thing.
one income.
Family income.
So guys, when two become one, it's very important that even your finances become one, because that is going to determine how much you accomplish in what amount of time you accomplish it. See, now I cannot marry a mean stingy man and then cause me.
That's my sal. My takeaway.
Guy, you will not marry a stingy man in Jesus' name.
But make sure I say you not stingy, and that you are willing. So, because we don't want to get that, and we don't want you to get that at all. But just focus on you, that you are not like that, and that your mindset is at the higher level, which is interdependency.
How has this budget changed our lives? It has become way more easier for us to function. From where we are coming from with my money, your money, we did not accomplish anything when we were in that place. But as soon as we were able, which took us a long time to get here, but as soon as we were able to get here, it was like our lives changed. So we are encouraging those couples out there and aspiring persons to be married. Think about this approach. Everything doesn't work for everybody, but this is, given the fact that we have been through similar challenges like most of you, it is very important we have learned to do it this way.
Yeah.
Because this way is what will help you to accomplish,
can help you
to accomplish, and you will be able to trust each other more. It will build more synergy in the relationship, and when you see what you have accomplished together, you guys will be able to celebrate together and feel great about it.
Yes, everybody's hand
will be on deck,
and everybody's accountable. And this is just us sharing our own approach to money, to money, our finances. If this works for you, then I laud the effort to do so. If not, and it how you doing it working out, do what works for you.
But as we said, work on the trust first.
Yes, so work on the trust. But if whatever works for you, where it works well and it is healthy, work what works for you. Right? But our standpoint is from the point of, again, as we say, that it's not individual our resource, it's resources that comes from God through the medium of our business, our jobs, and we use the resources to glorify the kingdom, to big up the kingdom with our resources, and to build the generation. Period. And there's no spirit of ownership when we're dealing with money, period.
So my husband can have his money open in the account. We both see what's going on.
Right.
On the account, the account. He sees, I see. Every month, everything is drawn from one account. Our mortgage, everything is drawn from one place.
Yes.
So we see everything that is going on. And then after that, we know what's going on with each other. So there's no fuss. And there's not been any fuss in that way since we really started to work together, guys. I promise.
That's true.
Since God showed us this way of doing stuff, because I believe God led us to this.
And chose his approach.
And through his approach and
principles,
we were able to not have that fuss in our marriage anymore, and it brings so much synergy in our marriage.
Yes.
You know,
And you bring it to the kingdom structure.
When you put that kingdom structure into it.
Yes.
And we're able to love each other and to see certain stuff and to grow and to build. It's a wealth of difference.
Yes.
Than when you are an individual trying to make an individual decision.
And it's the fastest way to build generational
Fastest
wealth.
way to build generational wealth.
Yes.
Guys, take it from us. Even if you try it one time, try it and tell us if it works. We're going to give an example. We're going to leave an example on our page of a budget. And you try that with your partner, those who are struggling.
Or even better, if you want a copy of the file that I used, shoot me a message. I can send you a copy of that Excel sheet. If you're interested in a copy, shoot me a DM. I'll be more than willing to send you the file.
Because we want to see, we want persons to prosper as in every way.
Yeah.
It's not just alamashanda going to church and all these things. These are real issues in marriage.
Yeah. And
that are affecting persons that could have reached way further in their lives if they had made different decisions. You understand? So as we learn, as God teach us and we learn, we are happy to pass it on to you because our aim is to see kingdom marriages survive. We want to see kingdom wealth. We want to see generational wealth. We want to see it. We want you guys to function, to prosper. You understand? And the church don't really teach much about money as it relates to marriage. A lot of people are struggling as it relates to money. But as I said, be vulnerable with each other. Trust each other. Commit to that thing. Yeah. Commit to each other. To commit to the plan. Work on it because somehow we cannot be trusted. That is the problem. We cannot be trusted. But we have to be able to trust each other with with God's resources. Because God needs to be able to trust you with his resources.
Well said.
If he can't trust you with the liquor where you get no, why you asking God for more? He's not going to give it to you. You could have fast and pray until you can't fast and pray no more. It's a principle. God watches to see how you manage your resources together. Because when God wants to bless a couple,
that's it. Go there.
When God wants to bless a couple, he's looking to see at how you both manage the resources that he gives to the marriage.
Certain blessings are, some person may say, well, the blessing come through me. And it may come through you. But it is for the union. It's for the family. And sometimes, many times when we are not in synergy, we block the blessings from coming through because there are certain things we cannot tap into certain dimension until we tap into that dimension of unity.
Yeah, unity is important.
Unity is very important.
Unity is very important.
And when
guys,
God blesses, he blesses generationally.
Yeah.
Never one person. He blesses generationally. So he blesses you because he wants those who will come and talk with you or those who will come from you to be blessed. It ain't about you, baby. No. It ain't about you. So let's get that right.
Right. So we don't want a pride. We don't want a pride in this thing.
Yeah.
It's all about we don't compete with each other.
No.
It don't matter who make more than who, really.
Exactly.
We don't even see that. It doesn't even matter who makes more than who.
Yeah, the question is not that me this question. What if the woman makes more than you?
It doesn't matter.
So
it doesn't matter if you're if you're the wife and you makes more than the man. You understand? Or vice versa. One resource God sent to the family. God sent one resource.
Him just say it in the ratio. Sometimes him send it in the ratio of 1 to 2. Sometimes him send in the ratio of 3 to 4. Sometimes him send it in 1 to 4. Whichever side him send it, you look at it.
It really matter.
No matter. So when you see it as his resource, you don't let the ego fool you. All right? Anyway, we don't want to talk anymore, and we see persons still on, but let us just be quiet. Any questions, any input?
Please ask the questions or make your input in.
Any inputs so we can comment on before we leave?
All right, so Shanae said, this is true teamwork. Now I understand more what partnership means and teamwork for this aspect.
Right.
Okay, yes, Shanae. This is how we have to work as a team. And this never come overnight.
No.
This is something that we had to be submitted to God to do. And kill with pride.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
That's another thing. We have to be submitted to God, submitted to God's idea, what He wants from the generation, and submitted to the end result. We have to be submitted to the end result.
Yes. And we keep on saying generation. We have to get into the mindset of thinking generational, because the kingdom is generational. The kingdom principle is everything is passed down. You understand? There's a pass down. There is a baton pass down. There's an impartation for the same thing that has been there from day one is passed down, the lineage. It's generational, period. When Abraham was born, oh God, when will you give me a son? God say, I'm going to make a nation out of you. Abraham thinking son, God thinking generational. You understand? Thinking generation, thinking
sometimes
nations.
we are trying to secure ourselves, and God has said, "Warm to the generation.
Yeah.
Warm to my royalties."
All right. I'm securing you so you can secure
the generation.
The generation.
That's the problem. So some of us, is not that God don't want to bless us, but Him can't trust me.
Yeah, we're too selfish, man.
God can't trust us as a couple. We're selfish. We're still operating like we're single. You know, I mean, it doesn't make sense. When we came together, if both of us have debt, it's not his debt and it's not my debt. Whatever debt benefit the family, it is our debt. And we try to make an effort to clear the debt.
Yeah, because
that is another thing. Because some people will say, but me have my debt for pay, I have my debt for pay. Yeah, but everybody should take it on, because how did this debt? That's why it has to be something that benefits the family. Some people just go take it on for benefit themselves. Some people go take on debt for benefit themselves. And then when you fall into trouble now, you want your spouse to pay for that debt.
No, we're not.
That you never discussed with your spouse. You never had a discussion. They never know say you're getting at the debt. All of these things. This is the reason why we have to work together. Because even if there's debt, it must be something that the both of you know about and have a plan to repay. You have good debt and you have bad debt. And we have to decide what good debt we are going to take on. Because it's not every debt is bad. Sometimes there's good debt. It depends on what you do with it. So we need to teach more about money. We need to study more about money and learn how to handle it.
So nobody not said nothing yet.
So apparently nobody has nothing to say. So guys, we are going to go. We hope that you would have learned something valuable tonight. And we hope that you'll take some nuggets. Whatever nuggets you took tonight, we hope that you will bring it back to your marriage. Discuss it, have a discussion. Right? Don't go say, watch Roxanne and Alina this them do. So that you have to do too. No, don't go to your spouse like that.
No. Nah, say that.
No, don't say that. Don't do that. You know, but you can share. You know, I thought I learned something, and what do you think about this? And blah, blah, blah. But don't go to your spouse and say, a long time me I tell us, hey, Don't do that. You're not going to get nowhere. All right, guys? I know that sometimes us women are very emotional. And we can go into that, right? We're all guilty, but guess what? That's not the approach, because that approach will not get us anywhere, right? So nobody go to your husband and say, a long time me I tell us I saw if you do it. A long time me I tell us I know saw it go. And a long time you caused this. I remember last year when you did do this and you get me at that and I saw it go. No, guys, don't do that. Him not gonna listen to you. Him not gonna listen to you. And if we want change, we have to do it different. We have to approach differently. We have to know how to approach our spouse. And we have to go to them gracefully, all right? Not with a blame game, but with solution. Because a lot of times, women, we come with a blame situation, but we don't have no solution at all.
Yes.
So what men want is solution.
Yes, Marva, true. Managing with finances is very important in any relationship.
Yes, that's true.
True, man.
That's true. All right. Man. So love you guys. Remember, this
Blessings.
is Marriage Work Tuesdays with Marriage Works.
Yeah, man.
Roxanne and Aldine here. And of course, we are always very happy to share with you guys And as me say, go on, go live in on a marriage, enjoy the marriage.
Yeah, man.
And guess what? Go build generational wealth. Because it is God's will that we prosper.
Amen.
It is God's will that we prosper. Big up to, let me call out some persons.
Shanae, big up
Shanae,
yourself.
you are very
Marva.
active on here tonight. We appreciate you.
Tess.
Sister Marva, Tess.
Zan.
What was that? Zandizel,
Oh, Jesus.
Morris. Who else? Katie, that is she gone. Nico,
Babe. Joel.
Esther. Yes, Rochelle.
Mr. Gandhi.
Everybody who was here tonight.
Some people got them bed.
Yes. Bless to know.
Big up on
Have a
yourself.
good night. Remember, marriage works.
Yes, indeed.
Later, guys.
Take care of yourself.
Hey, guys.
Happy anniversary
to my